Hello and welcome to the 4th episode of the Lost Media Chronicles, a show where we discuss lost pieces of significant media. And what a fitting line, because this week we'll be going over the controversial subject of internet media. Now, allow me to explain a little bit. This is only really a controversial subject on the Lost Media Wiki, the wiki that this show is made in conjunction with. On that wiki, there's a huge debate and argument about whether or not internet media is significant enough to really cover. And, well, the argue could go either ways.
On one hand, internet media has had a heavy effect on internet culture, and internet culture has become so influential that it has started to shape our world culture as humans. On the other hand, any untalented hack could just post or make something, delete it, and then use it as a publicity stunt to try to promote themselves. However, I think internet media is significant. It takes decades for humans to recognize something as important. Hell, the reason why so many silent films went missing is because early filmmakers thought that film was just a fad. They had no idea the cultural impact film would leave in many decades to come. Even video games, one of the most popular forms of media today, are just now starting to become recognized as significant.
Now, what topic will I be discussing today in order to try to convince you of this? If you guessed GeoCities, you have been watching this show long enough. No. I gotta do something that isn't expected. I'll be covering the semi-obscure forum website, The Mystery of the Zenhex.
Now, if you recognize the name of that site, congratulations. You either spend too much time on the Lost Media Wiki, or you're an internet dinosaur. For the uninitiated, it was a forum website that was started in 2001, and during its heyday had hundreds of thousands of active users. So why haven't a good chunk of us at least heard of this site? There's several answers to that question, and the best way to answer it is to tell the story of its history.
Okay, so this one's gonna need a bit of a disclaimer before I really go too far into the history. Zen, if you're watching this, I tried to piece together as much as I could based off of the few sources I had at my fingertips, using the website itself, the Wayback Machine, and the few hexers I could actually get to talk to me, including yourself. Unfortunately, I had to meet certain goals and deadlines I set for myself, and I had to get this thing released using the information I had at the time. So, if I get anything wrong, please don't kill me. That being said, exact dates may not really be used throughout the length of this episode, but I'll try to be as accurate as possible.
From my understanding, the Zenhex was started in 2001 as a way to promote and host the work of a little-known animator and photoshopper who went by the name of Zen. His real name is unknown. He was a frequent contributor to Newgrounds, a popular Flash animation and game site that still has a strong community today, even if it isn't what it used to be. Zen got a considerable amount of attention after 9/11. He created a Flash video montage of the events accompanied by the Pink Floyd song Goodbye Blue Sky. It was rumored a couple of years ago that it featured rare pictures and videos, but after it was uncovered, this claim proved to be false. Zen started featuring the video on his site, and then started sharing his work on other websites where he found clever ways to promote his own site. It's pretty clear that Zen was right-wing, which isn't bad, but after about 14 years since 2002, it could feel a little bit unsettling seeing some of the political cartoons and images he shared on early versions of his website. That being said, some of them did get a good chuckle out of me. The site went through a rapid rebranding. The first edition was the forums, which Zen used to get feedback on his work and to allow users to leave shoutouts to him. Eventually, he figured out that his creation of original content was inspiring other internet users to want to create and share content of their own. In 2002, Zen added a new section called Open Fiction, which allowed aspiring writers to submit creative writing content and fan fiction. He even started to create his own tests, which were basically fun personality quizzes, sort of like Quizilla, only less stupid and pandering. These quizzes inspired people to want to create their own, so Zen ended up creating a quiz creation feature in 2003. This feature is said to have been so well implemented that many preferred it to some of the lead quiz-making sites from the time. The forums started to expand in topics. Debates were often held, and the site became very well known for its sarcastic sense of humor and anything-goes nature. What is really notable is the inclusion of a topic board called the Island of Shame, a place where all the worst posts from the site went to quote-unquote die. The only posts that wouldn't make it there are the illegal ones. Speaking of which, the Hex became a popular attraction for horny teenagers looking to engage in cybersex. And with those teenagers came pedophiles. You see, back in the day, these people didn't have Omegle or chat roulette to attract them, so they found outlets almost anywhere you could think of. Many of the quizzes were cyber requests disguised as quizzes. Many underage girls and guys would post in the forum advertising for it, which led to speedy deletion. Another controversial topic on the site was cutting. People would use the site to brag about having cut themselves, which led to moral guardians to demand action be taken. These posts were also generally considered to be too taboo for even the Island of Shame.
There were many other original content-based sites, such as the Zenhex, at the same time of its existence and even before then, but few had the same type of anything-goes atmosphere and feel that the Hex had that a lot of users were just looking for.
By 2005, so many people were being drawn to the site that the handful of servers that ran the site couldn't handle the traffic. And we're talking 2005 computers, so it's not like today where completing such a task is more possible. There was a common error page that would tell the user to press the refresh button to load the site. This led to some users having to wait a whopping 3 hours in order to see the site functioning. On some days, the site attracted as many as several hundred thousands of page views. Purchasing extra servers to support the traffic was out of the question. Zenhex was not a money-making site. Zen took pride in leaving the site free of advertising, but the site continued to be more and more impossible to use as the days passed on. He and the other moderators became desperate for a solution. This is where the notorious social networking site My Yearbook, now known as MeetMe.com, came into play. Having only been around for 2 years and looking to expand their site, the Hex was a perfect opportunity to draw in a larger audience. When the Hex started looking for someone to host the site, My Yearbook jumped at the occasion. In November 2005, Hexers started to be rerouted to My Yearbook. In order to access the Hex's content, a My Yearbook account was required to be made. This infuriated Hexers, and many of them left the site entirely. Others tried to stick around with the transition, but either found themselves giving up or becoming more active with My Yearbook instead. What especially didn't help was the small fraction of content that was lost after the transition. This caused a controversy with the site, since even a small percentage of content for such a large site like the Hex is still quite a bit. In 2008, My Yearbook considered the Zenhex portion of the site useless, since a lot of the Hex's functions had already been implemented into it, and let Hex have its old site back. The one exception is the quizzes portion, which My Yearbook made their own and refused to let Zen have it back. Since traffic had slowed down so much, Zen was now easily able to host the site on its original domain. The new transfer once again made a small percentage of content go missing, but it was considered a warm welcome and brought many of the old users back, including myself. In 2011, Zen decided to convert the site into a V-Bulletin version in order to modernize the forums and functions. The result was met with mixed reception. Some welcomed the change, while others missed being able to find and share their old content. At this point, all the original content from the old version was gone unless the creator in question saved it or if it was on the Wayback Machine. After getting numerous demands from old users seeking old content, Zen attempted to revert the site back to its original form using a build of the site from 2005. The V-Bulletin version could still be accessed by clicking on the dragon logo on the top right corner. In 2014, though, the active users considered the V-Bulletin version too dead to keep on the site, and it was voted to be removed. Now, parts of even the V-Bulletin version of the site have vanished as well. Not all the original content can be viewed in the current build of the site. Many of the quizzes and poetry, cannot be accessed just due to the limitations of the technology, and much of the My Yearbook era and post-My Yearbook era material is nowhere to be found. Some users are able to access their pre-2005 accounts, though others can't log in at all. New user registration is now difficult due to the amount of spam bots and now require a moderator or admin to approve of the account. The site is considered a shadow of its former self due to what it has been through. It could be argued that this material can be viewed on the Wayback Machine and therefore isn't technically lost. There's a problem though. The Wayback Machine is a great tool for documenting old versions of websites, however, it's not perfect. There are still huge chunks of the site that were never captured. It also takes a lot of digging for users to find their content, if it's there at all. It took me 3 hours of constant looking and digging through the members section just to find my account, and even then it didn't contain all my poetry, even during my peak usage.
Zen frequently gets harassed to this day by old Zen Hex users seeking their content. Some users are very understanding and calm about the situation, while others get very, very angry, and some have even threatened to sue Zen over the whole thing, as if they could legally get away with that. However, I happen to side with Zen on this whole situation. It is up to you, the creator, to save your own lost pieces of art. For instance, if any of my material gets pulled, it's up to me to save the original copy of that material in order to prevent it from becoming a lost piece of media itself. I would never blame YouTube for pulling the video to begin with because it's up to me. If I don't save it, who's going to? Now, in my previous episode, I kinda said something that was a bit misleading. What was it that I said right before the end again? Join us next time when we go over one of the biggest losses of a website that the internet has ever seen. Huh. That was a bit of an overly ambitious statement for me to make. But I still stand by it. Okay, look, even Zen has acknowledged that the Zen Hex isn't really that culturally significant, and it's not that interesting of a story, at least in his viewpoint it isn't. But it actually signifies something that's a lot bigger. It's not like GeoCities, a single website that gets pulled and millions of people's creative content goes missing. No, this is small little pieces of internet culture disappearing right before our eyes. And all of these small pieces add up to probably some of the biggest losses of human culture this side of the burning of the Library of Alexandria. That's another really big iffy metaphor for me to make, but it still kind of stands. This is people's personal lives kind of seeping into our culture, and it serves as a time capsule. Now, these changes that websites make in order to try to make themselves look new and modern, or even just to try to save up space on their servers, it's understandable, and I am not condemning them for doing it. But it does have the unintended side effect of having all of this media go missing, which does make a lot of people angry. So I can side with both sides of the argument if I really wanted to. Now, as I said earlier, I did a lot of digging in order to find my own content, because I was a frequent user of the Hex. And here is my story. I discovered Zenhex in 2005 when I had a long-distance teenage relationship with a girl whose name will remain nameless, as I tend to do for a lot of these types of things. And she turned me into an obsessive user, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of one of those horny teenagers, and I was also one of the people that tried to make themselves look cool and edgy, although I never did quite get into the cutting phase, which I'm a little thankful for. There's no scars you're gonna see under these sleeves or anything. But some of my earliest lyrical content, you know, the type of stuff that I would later do with a band that will remain nameless, found its way onto this website. from as early as my ages of 15, and I'm actually going to close this episode in a bit of an unorthodox way. I'm going to read some of my crappy teenage lyrical content to you. I'm going to read one of which was a lot more embarrassing than I thought it would be, and then one where I surprised myself in actually showing that I did a pretty good job. So let's get down to it. This one, the embarrassing one, is called Wound. Parenthesis, in all caps, needs comments! Exclamation point, close parenthesis. I was a bit of an attention whore then. Can't say as though a lot of things have changed. I still do tend to do stuff like this. Though not as blatant and as cringy. But here we go. Don't try to break me. I'm already broken. I'm shattered across a field of pain. No one understands or sees these pieces I leave. Life tortures me every day, making the wound in my chest deeper. As I bleed, I make more mistakes. As I heal, more wounds appear. I have been blinded by darkness. I have been deafened by silence. These scars will remind me each and every day of my mistakes. Don't try to freeze me. I'm already frozen. I'm completely stuck in time. I watch everything happen around me. I feel like I can do nothing to help. Chorus. Yeah, there was a chorus there somewhere. I don't even know where it was. I failed the market. Don't try to kill me. I'm already dead. I lie lifeless without a soul to help me. My cold fingers numb the pain as I wish for life to return again. Chorus again. Don't try to bury me. I'm already in the ground, gone and forgotten about forever. I remain here in a phase of constant sleep. I will never rest in peace. Cue the thunderclap. Okay, maybe my vocabulary was a little bit better than the average 15-year-old, but I was just as angsty and as stupid as anyone else would be at that age. There's no rhyme pattern or anything like that. Another thing that I did, speaking of cringy, calls for attention, is this one called Sex, and all I wrote in it was bananas. Ha ha ha, I just wasted 5 seconds of your time, pervert. Truly, that will go down in history as some of the best known works of anybody. Truly, Randy, you are a master. And of course, we have like some of the first lyrics I wrote when I was at the age of 12 that I decided to share on the site, and those are very simplistic and dumb. But this one, we gotta get down to it. This one is the one that surprised me a little bit, because this is something I could see adult me writing, maybe editing some of the lines, making the rhymes a little bit less generic, but I pretty much looked at it and said, good job, 15-year-old me, at least you did some good things here and there. This one is called What You Wanted. With all the stardom and all the fame, it's always such a shame. When everybody knows your name, every day it's all the same. People never leaving you alone, thousands of calls coming to your phone. You said this is what you wanted, but now your life has been haunted. Riding in those limousines, your face on all the magazines, with your name written in gold, all those millions of albums sold. With all these cheers and roars, it's not the way it was before, with all the pictures half tore, coming deep within your core. You think you've got the trick, but you've been hit on the head with a brick. For you, now, life's a snap, but it's all part of the devil's trap. As you can see, the Switchfoot influences were kind of there, but I don't know, I thought it's pretty good for what it is. Maybe not something I would ever sing in a song, but I could definitely see me at the age of 25 being all like, oh, hey, look, I'm so clever. But Yeah, that's basically why people go back to find stuff like this. It reminds them of who they were at some point in their lives. Some of these people are now in their mid 40s, and they're looking back at when they were in their 30s and posting on the site. People enter different phases of nostalgia. I'm sure when I'm 80, I'll be looking back at times when I was 60, assuming I get to live that long. That's part of the reason why people get so passionate about this stuff. It may not be great works of art, but it serves as a reminder of our currently ticking time clocks, our little biological time clocks, if you will. That one day we will die, and with us will go many of our memories. And that's why this little thing called Lost Media Wiki exists. It gives us the opportunity to try to save as much of that material as we possibly can, because we, as human beings, are egotistical little jackasses. See you guys next time when I get to go over some very controversial presidential stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be the 4th of July special. See you later.
Goodbye, blue sky. Goodbye, blue sky. Goodbye.